I just want to say thanks, Kate, for this, and I just want to give a big thanks to Rongo Ngata, who's been instrumental in supporting us, especially me with this pepeha I'm about to share. And yeah, so hello and welcome. Kia ora iho mā, ko titarangi te monga, ko turanga nui a kiwa te awa, ko Prince toku ingo a whānau, ko Graham toku papa, ko Treve toku mama, ko Wayne Prince toku ingoa. No ingarani me ko te rana oku te puna. Ka ore ahau e tino mohio ki toku whakapapa no tērā whenua. O tērā, kei te rangahau tonu, a hākua no ingarani oku te puna, I whānau mai ahau, I turanga nui a kiwa. I tipu aki ahau, I raro I a titarangi te monga, tapu o te mana whenua o Ngāti Onioni, ki tamaki makaura ahau e noho ana. A kia ora tātou. So yeah, so just a warm welcome to everyone. I come from Gisborne on the east coast of the North Island. Prince is my family name. Just paying tribute to my parents, Graham and Treve. My name is Wayne Prince. The next part of my pepeha was that I come from England and Scotland, and I'm researching that at the moment, and I'm not too sure exactly yet, but I've got a whole screed of information here that my mum has given me to go through to learn about that. And I pay tribute to the Ngāti Onioni, who their marae is at the base of Titarangi, Te Monga, or otherwise known in Gisborne as Kaiti Hill. And that is what I see as my mountain. I have great memories of growing up in that place. So yeah, so kia ora.
Kia ora, thanks Wayne. Okay, must be me, huh? So, first of all, I want to say kia ora, Kate, and thank you for having us. My pepeha is still in connection. I have, over the last, I suppose, a couple of months been doing quite a lot of research, and so it's not necessarily at a place where I am truly connected to it yet. So I'm going to offer what I know of my history in Te Reo Pākehā at this point, until I can get that deep level of connection to what I want to bring forward from me. So so my name is Deb. My full name is Debbie Marie Hipperson. Originally, my family hails from Norfolk. We have been in New Zealand since 1925. My grandparents came from Southampton on a boat called the Ionic, and they arrived in Wellington, and they settled in Wellington, and so most of my family spent a lot of time in Wellington. So I grew up for the first 15 years of my life in that area, and I moved to Auckland, where I've been living ever since. My father is Bruce, my mother is Kathy, and also my grandmother is Jean, and my grandfather is Peter. And I just want to bring them into the circle, especially my grandmother, as she has had a major influence on my life as I have been growing up. And yeah, so she sits strongly in me. Currently residing in West Auckland with Wayne and our whānau. That's me. Kia ora. Thanks, Deb. So Wayne and Deb are the face of the Meditating Giraffe. I just thought I'd give them a bit of a heads up of how I found you and
and that kind of thing. So I got introduced to NVC, we call it NVC, some people call it nonviolent communication, whatever you want to call it. It's all about how we can communicate empathetically and form a better connection with people. Right now we're in the thick of lockdown. We've just been talking about that prior to the interview, so we're going into week 3. And I just can't think of a more useful tool for people to have to be in relationship with others in a bubble. Really, it's quite crucial. I mean, I don't know about you guys probably throughout your day, but being in your bubble with your family in close contact, I can count on my hand numerous times that I've had to bring out the NVC, bring out the empathy, and go back to that kind of rhythm within it, and how it centers me and grounds me and gives me security, but also gives me much faster connection with the people around us. So I just thought to check in with you guys, what's happening with you guys at the moment in the energy around lockdown, and what are you picking up on? What's on top with you for
Okay.
lockdown?
I'll go first with what's alive in you at this time around it.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, it's difficult. I find it quite difficult to gauge the energy in the lockdown. Like, I don't see anyone. Like, I don't interact in person with anyone. I mean, I went to the supermarket this morning, and that's a 2.5 hour mission. But I noticed people are walking around very little eye contact. People are really kind of withdrawn. A good percentage of people now have masks and gloves, and so so I think that side of it, I'm quite sad of that human connection that could be missing in it. Our neighbourhood's never felt so peaceful. I mean, some people had a rowdy party the other night. I think that's since been sorted. But yeah, I don't know. There seems to be some kind of like quiet. People aren't sure. So, if things are involved. I mean, look at us right now. We're sitting in our new training room. Where are we? We're in a corner of our bedroom. It's our wardrobe behind us. A beautiful giraffe that was painted for us for Christmas by Deb's sister. And yet, this is it. This is our base at the moment. But and our sense of it is that people are, in general, some people are really struggling out there, and we know that we're getting a few people just reaching out to us for support at this time. So who knows? It's just a bit unpredictable. It's your sense of things.
Okay. I guess what comes up for me when I consider what's happening at the moment, and it's curious because I had a conversation, I can't remember, it was a workshop or I know it was a call that we had a couple of days ago when we were talking about the term lockdown, and how for some people that can seem like there's like a pressure to hold people down. And then her preference that she mentioned was around that actually what we are doing in lockdown is that we're exercising what in NVC we call protective use of force, which is, and what that's all about is protecting our vulnerable. So which seems to be quite apt in me, because currently living in a house we have an almost 1-year-old, and we're very conscious around how she's being, and so also conscious around making sure that her mum remains safe, therefore is not passing it to her, all these different things. And I quite I just remind myself that the reason we're doing this is to protect, which also gives I know it just shifts it for me somehow. I don't have that sense of being trapped, or it's more that as I walk around the park and I can still totally look across at the person who's passing and say hello. Like I can't remember the last time I walked around the park and people actually said hello. But now it's like people are purposely going, hi, it's like a whole different, it's curious. That's what I notice. And so I'm holding that, but also I notice, actually, so this morning when I was in our lounge, I heard quite a heated argument happening out on our street. And I also notice I'm quite hyper vigilant to that, kind of like hypersensitive to that. And I suppose I listen for crying babies. I listen for slaps, punches, I listen for all that kind of stuff. And it seemed to stop quite quickly, because my next thing would have been walk out my door, go out and have a look and see what's happening. So there's also in me like a sense of, we get week 3, I'm guessing that there's possibly quite a bit of tension happening out there. And I think you were looking at the stats today, I think, about the rise of domestic violence and how that seems to be on the rise, particularly this week. So I also have some deep concerns around that's going on, and people not being able to go to work or get space or that kind of stuff that is going to eat away. So I'm very aware in a local neighbourhood when I hear anything that seems a bit off or a bit aggro. So there's two things that I see happening: people are increasing their friendliness towards each other and families hanging out, and also the increasing tension as people are in situations where it might be a little volatile. So
so interesting how we're in these little bubbles which are all protective, and you're in your bubbles, but I don't like, just thinking about what you were saying, Deb, like we have a more of a collective concern for people. I don't know if it's more, but for me personally, it feels like there's more of a collective concern, whether it's the vulnerable or people living in violent households, or kids especially.
That certainly resonates with me when I hear you say that. That, like, I can even though our bubble is here, my bubble is actually quite wide.
Does either of you want to give a quick kind of how you would quickly describe NVC? I don't know if you can do it quickly, probably have to happen over a whole weekend, but have you got a quick kind of elevator pitch of how you would describe NVC?
Yeah, sure. We could do 3 parts.
Okay. Oh, the 3 parts. Yeah. Oh, you can talk about the 3 parts.
Okay, you do your bit, I'll do my bit.
All right, okay. So with NVC, the question, what is NVC? It's interesting, like it's nonviolent communication, which is a name that Marshall Rosenberg coined in about the late 1950s, I think, where the non-violence part was probably pretty big in the work that he was doing, but we prefer to call it the language of compassion. And I think if I shorten it right down, really, what it's about is communicating in a way with others that we really increase our chances of being heard and to matter. And we also increase their chances of being heard and mattering. And so it's a way of forming a relationship with others that's more mutual, more harmonious, and yet we still bring our truth, we still bring our honesty, and we just really sit and be present to each other. And what I like the most about it, it's very practical. It's very, because it's all about empathy at the end of the day. But it's a very practical skill that you can begin to learn as you deepen into it.
Okay. For me, I guess the part that immediately jumps up is around connecting to what's important to me and what's important to the other people. So there is in our workshops, we do this piece which is like a minute long, where I talk about the 3 parts to NVC, and the first part being self-connection. So being able to connect to what we call what's alive in me in this moment. Something's happening outside of me, and I'm able to connect to like my internal responses to that, and to understand what's going on in me in relation to that, what we call stimulus, right? And then the second part is, how do I express to another person what's important to me. And then the third part of that is when someone is expressing to me what's important to them, how do I receive them? Just me being able to listen underneath the words to what we call the values that have been communicated. Yeah. And I think those three parts to NVC are super important because it covers the whole package, really. It's like the dance of NVC, connecting to me, expressing, receiving. And that's what we do constantly. Communicating, people are talking, we're hearing underneath their words most of the time. So it's a way to be in the world that leads to connection. That's how I like to define it.
I love how it's called a dance. Where does that come from?
Yeah, so the dance actually comes, I don't know if because Marshall often talks about the dance of, I don't know if you've seen the thing, I've actually got a tat on my wrist. Mm-hmm. I don't know. Anyway, it's an infinity symbol, right? Mm-hmm. And then it's the symbol of expressing and receiving. So as an example of Wayne and I are in conversation about something, and I might have a thing that's going on, and I come to him and I express that thing. And then he's listening, he's being present, he might be reflecting back what I'm saying, connecting to what's important to me. And then I'll say something to him like, I'm wondering, what's happening for you when you hear that? And then he talks to me what's in his heart, and I receive that. Yeah. And then we've got this conversation. So the dance between us is the expressing and the receiving. Like that's what being in a relationship is.
And none of this comes naturally?
I think it does. We just get lost. Is that what we're saying? Because originally, I think it's our innate nature to be this way, but there's a whole piles of stuff that get on top of that.
How do you know it's our innate nature?
I believe that as human beings that we want to contribute to life. Like we don't go out with the intention of inflicting pain on others. Sometimes we're in pain and we act from places of pain. However, it's just my belief that underneath all of that stuff, that inherently we want to contribute to life.
Yeah. I'm thinking about, lockdown, that strong urge for people wanting to contribute to life, and a lot of them would be feeling a rejection, or I know that's not a real feeling, a faux feeling, but they'll be getting hurt and discouraged. And what have you got to say to that, or is there advice, or how can we connect in with that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think one of the first places to start is with our own levels of self-empathy or care for ourselves, or just understanding and being kind of like quite, I guess, honest and present to what's going on for us. We're huge supporters of having a supportive community around people. Some of those support people to me live right up north, some in Christchurch, but you can reach out via all the different mediums now. I think that's important because, like Deb said, the first part is NVC. It starts with me, and so we've got to take care of ourselves first, and then we have more capacity then to support those around us. So sometimes, like if we've got a rub going on or things aren't kind of get a bit overloaded for us, we have other people that we might reach out to. We'll get some support first, and then we'll come back and then we'll work through this thing. So I think a supportive group of people around us that don't need to be in our direct vicinity. I think that's really important at this time. And then I think the other thing that I think is important for families, like something I've been really enjoying during the this lockdown that we're in, is that we've started playing cards around the table again at night after dinner. So every person is pitching in for dinner or cleanup. And I've been really valuing that. You know, my son jumps in and he's the dishes dryer and working everything out. And Amy and Deb take care of our granddaughter who's staying with us. I normally am the dishwasher, and then we all take turns at loading in, and then we always, and then we sit down for some kind of good vigorous card playing, which I really loved as a kid. But the whole family comes around and there's smiles and laughing, and that's kind of like what you'd call a ritual in our family.
Mm.
And I think rituals are really important. Every night, just before the cards happen and just after the cleanup, Deb and I will go for a 20-minute walk. It's called a walk and talk, which you might describe at some point in one year. But we do that every night. You know, in the morning, we both like to get up and do some yoga. So we've got these rituals that we build into our day that I think just help. Well, I've heard they help with longevity. But also they support us to keep connected to each other. And what I do think too is they create a certain sense of safety within the group, that these are these things that we do that we can kind of like hang on to when it's all going a bit crazy. And it supports that supportive community to hold together for each other. So those are things that I would connect with as a family is, what is our rituals? What do we do? Like what gives us a bit of fun, pleasure, connection, honesty, what gives us that each day? Those can be really helpful. So that's just later on this week, Deb's running a course. I think I'm just part of it, but we're doing a whole piece with sociocracy and NVC, just on how families can sit down and actually have these meetings so everyone has a voice. And we've done a lot of work with that with families to work out what these could look like for the whole family. So there's a range of supportive things that we can do at this time that I'm hoping can get being carried on beyond what's going on now.
Yeah. What was the question?
How can we meet that need to contribute to life?
Yeah. So I guess if I consider like how we are, and that is responding to people who are struggling, empathy, giving empathy rather than advice giving or any of that stuff. It's just about being present and supporting the person to connect to what's going on. For others, and then which contributes to life, and then very aligned with what Wayne is talking about when it comes to practices, self-care practices at this time. Really vital. Like I had a moment this morning, actually, I'll share this, is Wayne went into the shopping, and we had some clients at 10, and he got back at 2 minutes to 10, and then I said to the family, hey, you okay to put the stuff in the fridge and unpack the shopping and stuff, and they were cool. Yeah, we'll do that. And then I don't know, I was sitting here going, like, I was going, is it kind of like be ordered? Is it gonna like, what's it gonna look like when I get out there? I just noticed it. So I'm sitting there, right? I'm sitting there noticing my own shiitake mushrooms coming up, right? And I'm like, oh, that's curious. And I'm really agitated. And I'm like, and so I noticed that. And then anyway, so I just whip out to the kitchen, and they're putting stuff in the fridge, and then one of them opens the fridge, and then I just see like the stuff like chopped in the fridge, right? And I have this reaction, but it's really curious, is watching my own Jackal show. Yeah. And then I was like, what came out of my mouth actually was that, oh, there's a way to do this that it works effectively. So I said something like that, right? And then I took a moment, and then I was like, oh my goodness, it's like far out. And then, so I came in here and I sat down, and I noticed I was like, oh, I really didn't want to speak like that. Like, actually, I feel really grateful. I feel grateful for the support. And I was able to process it really quickly. And then and then I sent one of our family members a text, just like when there was a gap, and I said, hey, I just wanted to express how grateful I am that you supported putting the stuff away, and I'm regretful on how I spoke when I came into the kitchen. Yeah, and I got a text back, and the person said, oh, that's all good. And yeah, so I guess where I'm going with that is we can be doing the work out there with other people, and it's really important that we're doing the work here within ourselves and being very mindful about, especially when things are a little tense or overwhelming, how we can look after each other in that process. I just wanted to share that because that's really alive in me at the moment when I think about contributing to life.
Yeah, because often I think of contribute to life, it's that bigger picture, right? Whereas now it's your village.
Yeah, so it's balancing how do we contribute to a bigger village, and also to ensure that we're still keeping connected and looking after our bubble, I guess, if I call it that. How do we balance that out?